So anyway, that failure made me reconsider my path again, one more time, and I had to start thinking about options, like should I go into product design? Should I go into transportation design? Should I focus on illustration or more like concept art stuff? I guess around this time too, I started realizing that I was more interested in spaceships and robots and whatever kind of sci-fi stuff than real life products, I guess. So I was wondering if I should go and try to switch majors into illustration and try to do like animation related stuff or video game stuff. And my school didn't really have entertainment major. They did have a illustration major, but it was more for traditional like print illustration and graphic design, and yeah, it's more traditional kind of illustration than like video game stuff. Or I think that it was just starting to form, where they were adding some 3D classes for, I guess, geared to video game stuff, but it wasn't fully there yet. But anyways, yeah, I went and talked to the chair of the entertainment program, or not entertainment, the illustration program, and he referred me to Jay Schuster, who graduated from CCS, and he was a designer for Pixar, and he did a lot of cool work for Wall-E. Like he designed Wall-E and a lot of the stuff for cars, and I guess any kind of industrial stuff for Pixar he would have worked on. And I emailed him, but never got an answer back, unfortunately. I think he's a pretty busy guy. But either way, I was still glad to go venture into the other department, at least. And I ended up taking a couple figure drawing classes, which was nice, and trying to mingle with the illustration kids a bit. And I think that was really good. I mean, I wasn't in the major, I was just kind of taking classes on the side there. But it was a good feeler for what it was like, and it got me a little more comfortable with the idea. And yeah, it was good. So yeah, I guess in terms of school, I was always kind of restless, always jumping around a lot to different programs, different schools, and yeah, and then that kind of continued into my work. Like, I don't think I've worked for the same place for more than a year. Like a year, less than 2 years probably is my limit of how long I can sit still, which is why I really love working freelance, because the projects usually don't last a year, or about a year maximum. So I don't know, that just works well for me. It depends on your personality. If you like hanging around and I guess like forming deeper relationships with your coworkers and, really putting in time, then it's also like the social aspect. I think, some people really prefer to um, be in the office and work with people and talk to people all day, and just all that activity and is nice, right? Like human contact is good. But uh, on the flip side, some people rather just be in a cave somewhere by themselves drawing, and that's kind of me. I like I like people, but I really like just being alone and doing my thing. And I think I work better that way in general. So it's been working out okay so far. But it's definitely good to if you're coming out of school, to try to do studio first, just so you uh, get a feel for it, see if you like it, and also learn from other people and learn how company works and like what's expected, kind of. And it's just good. And plus you get to meet your first people at your jobs, and those people you meet are going to end up being the ones that will probably be keeping in contact and giving jobs sometimes, or just becoming your friends or whatever. It's just a good place to start and move out, or like kind of branch out from there. And same thing with school. School is always a good place to start out and branch out in terms of like, your people. So yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. This is just a horrible ramble. School, work, yeah, cars. God, so much cars. Anyways, so yeah, I did some toy stuff in between too. Again, back at school, I really wanted to do cars and all that, but since I wasn't in the car design major anymore, I kind of I couldn't sign up for the car design internships and stuff as well. Like, it was kind of a disadvantage not being in there, so I ended up interning with Little Tikes in Ohio, and that was pretty fun actually. We got to do a lot of like hands-on building with pink foam, and like we got to paint stuff. I mean, it's kind of grunt work, but I don't know, we were just kind of like manual labor and drawing too, and playing basketball on the Little Tikes set, which is like, I don't know, 4 feet tall. And the factory was there too, so that was cool. We got to see a real factory. They had all the roto casting machines that would basically spin around. It's like a giant gyroscope contraption of metal, and they put the plastic pellets in there and melt it, and then they spin it around so that the plastic will coat all over the inside of the molds, and it just spins around like that. And they also had, I think they had a little bit of injection molding too, which is like where they just squeeze the plastic with pressure into the mold, and that was more for smaller objects. But for the big play sets and the big like play houses and stuff like that, they always use the roto mold, the rotocast or whatever. So that was cool to see. The industrial machine at work. And then from toys, I ended up going to Honda to intern after that. So one of my old teachers from CCS named Haksu, he used to work at Honda in Torrance, California, and he has since moved to Ford in Dearborn, Michigan, so that's why he was teaching us, because he was in Michigan. And anyways, I took his class for gouache painting, and it was a good class, learned a lot. And then I went over to say hi to him because I liked him as a teacher. I saw him at the internship fair thing that we had. So he was there representing Ford. So he was looking for kids to intern at Ford. But I went and talked to him, and I don't know how did it happen actually. Anyways, he ended up getting me an internship at Honda instead, which was kind of backwards, but I was really lucky because I guess he liked my work, and I was doing some work on the side for him too, and I guess he was paying me like, student rates, so I kind of begged him to write a letter of recommendation for me for Honda, which he did, and which was really cool of him. And I guess that's kind of what got me in there. And so I ended up in Honda the term after the Little Tikes thing, and that was a really eye-opening experience because everybody there was awesome designers, amazing designers there, crazy modelers left and right, but it seemed like a lot of the team was just going in circles, like pedaling in circles on these projects. Even though I was only there for a short time, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, I started to see things going in circles, like, already. And I guess indecisiveness, lots of indecisiveness, like, and then the other eye-opening thing was that I would see, I guess I always imagine that car designers, when they go to work, they just sit down at a blank page and they just start drawing whatever, like, oh, this could be a cool car, or this could be a cool truck, or whatever. But really what it is they give you a sheet that has already been made by an engineer, and the engineer already decides where the passengers need to be, and where the engine needs to be, where the safety hard points have to be, and where the wheels have to be, where the trunk has to be. So basically the whole car's proportions and dimensions overall are predefined by engineers. So by the time the designer gets the package, it's too late. The car's already designed, and it already looks like crap. So the designer's job isn't to design a car, it's more just to, like, make what has already been done by the engineers look presentable, I guess. Just like try to save it. And everything is down to the millimeter there, so it's like you're, you know, the package is really specific, and people are fighting for their inches and millimeters to make this line look sleeker or lower or wider. And then the engineers are like, no, it needs to be this way because that'll be better aerodynamics or better cargo space and whatever. So yeah, that was just an interesting thing for me to see about car design. And but yeah, it was also just great to see everyone, all the crazy talented guys there, just amazing work all the time. But yeah, after Honda, I was really glad to get that chance to just a little glimpse into it, and I decided, like, okay, I got my taste of it, and I'm fine now. Like, that's an itch I don't need to scratch anymore, and I can move on from it and just focus on doing toys or animation or something, basically something that's not a real product, because I felt like a real product is like, it's too much responsibility. There's too many factors that go into it. So from there, I ended up going to Mattel to do more toys. I was on the Hot Wheels team, and we made little die-cast cars out of the DC comic book heroes. So there was Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, all those people, and that was a pretty fun job. And I guess like my first full-on production experience, because we were actually making these things and working with engineers to make sure the parts all fit together, making sure the costs were low enough, making sure the decals, the graphics were all good, the colors, the packaging, the safety. I actually remember taking some prototypes or 3D prints and going to Mattel's safety laboratory, where they have like different tools that you can like poke things and decide if it's too pointy or not for kids. I guess because I didn't realize it, but the Hot Wheels, they're being some of them are being fed through the like turbo speeder motor thing, which shoots the car out at like 60 miles per hour. So if it's too pointy, it's gonna like poke out some kid's eye. So I got to get a taste of that and kind of melt the car down into a softer marshmallowy state that was safe enough. So that was fun. But then yeah, so that was my shot at toy design. And after that, somehow, out of the blue, I was gonna head back to school to finish my last term. And I was all set, like I had already planned out my housing and everything to go back next term. And then this guy Anis on Facebook, who I had been following and just said hi once or twice on Facebook, all of a sudden, out of the blue, he's like, "Hey dude, do you want to work on the Tron TV show?" And I was like, "What? Tron TV show?" And yeah, so I guess he had some other stuff he had to take care of, and he couldn't do the job, so he was wondering if I would fill in. And I said, "Hell yeah, I'll go run over there." And I rented my car from Enterprise, and yeah, I didn't have a car at that time, so I rented the car and I drove up. I think I bought a shirt. Either I bought a shirt or I wore my only dress shirt, and I drove up to Disney and met with the director Charlie and the art director Alberto, and I was just like, "Hey guys, I draw spaceships, hey." And they were like, "Cool, let's do it." So yeah, and then I started there, and the rest is history. But I don't know, I guess I was just really lucky with the way it all turned out. Just really lucky that I, number one, got kicked out of the car design program. Number one, I went to CCS in the first place. Number two, I got kicked out. Number three, I did my toy internships and met that one teacher who would help me get the car thing. And just, I don't know, a lot of little chance things that I could have never planned out, but somehow it all worked out. I really don't know. I was just really lucky with that stuff. But now I'm here, and I kind of feel the same way how I felt at that time, where it's like I'm trying to figure this out. I got these ideas floating around in my head. I want to make something cool. I want to make like a project or I don't know, something that I can really crank on and just pour myself into. And I haven't found it yet, but I'm just hoping that things will line up soon, and just I'll figure this out, and it'll be like the next thing. So I feel lucky that I've had a lot of these, or I don't know, just in my short time I've had a couple uncertain moments where I had to make a choice of like taking a little risk and maybe getting something out of it, or just kind of sitting back and letting it happen, But it seems like every time that I've had this feeling of I need to make a move in terms of my life or my school or career or whatever, I get this like feeling I need to take some steps in that direction or make a move, and I'm starting to feel that now, and I don't know, I'm just blabbing, but I hope it'll show itself soon. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what it is, but I feel like maybe I am a little bit restless as a person. I do jump around and stuff. So maybe that's the feeling that I'm getting, is just that restless feeling again. I need to shake it up a little bit. But whenever I get comfortable with something, I always get an itch of like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Somehow I feel more comfortable with unknowns, with like questions and stuff. And I realized that I've been very lucky so far. And a lot of people have had a lot more difficulty with this art stuff. Whether it's from, like resistance from your parents, or resistance financially, or your location, or any number of problems that can block you. But yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just so weird thing. I mean, the good thing about drawing though is that as long as you have a roof over your head and a pencil and a paper, you can do it. And if you do it enough, stuff will start clicking. Things will happen. It just takes a while. I wish drawing was faster. It's like, it's so tedious. So I've got my boots. This is so scatterbrained. I guess the other thing I have to talk about too is my parents. Like, my mom was super duper into education. She actually was a French teacher when she was younger in Jamaica, and I guess she grew up in the whole British style school system. So she'd always tell me how stupid American schooling is, and like they're so lax on the students, there's no discipline, there's blah blah blah. And she'd always be like really on top of me with homework and stuff and grammar and everything, even though I'm still pretty bad at it. I still don't know my months, unfortunately. I think I must have some kind of like disorder with months in particular, because I can never get the order correct. Anyways, yeah, she was always super on top of me with the school stuff. But at the same time, she wasn't. She never. She wasn't pushy in terms of what I was gonna do. Like, she never said, "Oh, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer" or anything like that. She was more just like, you can do whatever, but whatever you do, you have to be at a high level. You have to be really disciplined and diligent about it, which was great, I think, because after my mom, everything else kind of seems easy compared to my mom. She's just like such a pain in my ass with all this school stuff, and so I feel like life in general is much easier compared to her being like subjected to her iron fist. No offense to moms, but it's a good thing, though, I think, to be, to at least like try to have standards, or hold the kid to some kind of standards, But honestly, I was never good at like school stuff. English and math I was okay with. I like geometry, but which makes sense because I like 3D stuff now, but I really hated English and writing essays, and of course I guess everyone does, but I was so slow with it. Like really, really bad at it. Always be drawing in class and blah blah blah. But yeah, my mom surprisingly was always super supportive of everything, school wise. She actually kind of kickstarted this whole thing because she took me to this school fair in Miami. I grew up in Miami, and there was for high schools in Miami, they have a fair for the magnet schools, which is like, it's like a public school, but they specialize in something or the other. So some of the magnet schools specialize in engineering or science or whatever, and there was one at this fair that specialized in design, and it's called Design and Architecture Senior High, or DASH for short. And this school, we saw their little table, and they had like a model of an architectural model made out of wood, like balsa wood and sticks and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, cool, what's this? Because I always loved making models and Legos and stuff like that. And they were like, oh yeah, this is a fashion design and architecture design, industrial design, and film school. And we were like, what the heck is industrial design? I never heard of that. And they're like, oh, like, you have toothbrushes and shavers and whatever products that you have at home. Well, there's got to be someone that designs it. And I'm like, oh shoot, never realized that, but okay. And yeah, that's how I started my whole design thing. I was in high school, so um, I guess I was like 12 or 13 when I went to that fair with my mom, and we were at the table and we're like, oh cool, this school looks amazing. It's a public school, and it's like really high quality, so I want to go there. And they draw all day. That sounds really cool. But then the problem is, oh, it's near downtown in the design district, and me and my family, we live all the way out in the suburbs in West Kendall. So that's kind of by the swamps, and it's really way out there. So we're like, how would this work logistically? And I guess the lady at the table was like, well, you could take the bus to the train, and then take the train to another bus, and then go to school. So I was like, okay, except that will take about 2.5 hours each way. So I don't know, it was kind of a crazy idea to go to this school that's 2.5 hours away, when I have a perfectly good school that's right next to me. That would take me like 5 minutes to walk to. But somehow my mom was like, well, if you really want to do it, we can do it, which, now that I think of it, was a really huge commitment for her and my dad, because being the stupid kid that I was, I would sometimes miss the bus in the morning, which really sucks for them, because they would have to drive me to the train station, or drive me here or drive me there or whatever. Every once in a while they would actually drive me all the way to freaking school, and that was insane. And I don't know how they did it, because I would not do that. If I was a parent, I would definitely not do that. I would be like, oh, you're missing school today. Good job, buddy. But anyways, so yeah, it was 2 hours away, and I got a lot of bus time. I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and it would always be dark out, basically nighttime, and I'd go walk to the bus station, or the bench, and there would always be a couple of old Cuban ladies sitting there, and they'd all like be talking, and mind you, it's still dark outside. Old people are insane. And yeah, I would take the bus. And the buses in Miami were really shitty. They would never show up on time. Sometimes they wouldn't show up at all. There were a couple times when, especially when it was raining, something about rain and the bus drivers, I think the bus drivers would just decide, you know what, I don't feel like driving today. It's wet outside, so screw all the passengers. And everyone at the station would be sitting there for like, okay, it's been an hour. It's been an hour and a half. Where the fuck is this bus? And it would never come. It did not show up. So then at like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours later, when the next bus is supposed to show up, that one doesn't show up either. So at that point, I have to call my mom or my dad and be like, hey, I'm all the way the fuck out here. Can you pick me up? And they would have to come pick me up. But yeah, it was worth it though. I mean, I got to spend a lot of time drawing on the metro, drawing on the bus every day for, I guess, 2.5 each way would be like 5 hours a day, 4 hours a day, just sitting there, bored out of my mind. there was no I didn't there no there was no smartphone at that time. So I would just have my CD player, listening to whatever music and drawing. And all my drawings from then are like all wobbly and shit because the bus, the train. But honestly, I would usually just sleep because I was really tired. That school was crazy. Dash was like so much. They gave you so much homework, and a lot of it was like drawing and art stuff, which was awesome. So I didn't mind doing it, but we were just tired. Especially like with that commute, it sucked ass. So that's why these days I don't commute at all. I work from home. I need to make up for all that time I lost in high school. So I kind of treat myself to little to no commute. I don't think I will ever commute more than like half hour again in my life because I already did enough of that. I did 4 years of no way. This is a really long video, so you don't have to watch it. I'm just talking to myself. I don't think anyone is watching this, but whatever. But anyway, yeah, at that school, Dash, we learned a lot of industrial design stuff. The teacher's name was Miss K, Miss Kwiatkowski, and she taught us how to draw in perspective with the industrial design style. And that I have that first exercise that she showed us, which is how to draw ellipses into a cube. And I still do that one. And I probably still will do it forever. At least until I stop drawing. And I've recorded that video for posterity. So if anyone else wants to learn industrial design, I'm thinking about doing more videos. Scott Robertson has a lot of really good videos already on this subject, so I don't know if it's probably kind of redundant to do industrial design, like sketching videos. But yeah, I would go check out his stuff. You probably know his stuff already, Scott Robertson, but yeah. Ms. K actually gave us a packet of Scott's tutorials because she kind of photocopied them, but back in high school, and she was like, "Here, do these exercises," and that's how we were all introduced to Scott Robertson from Miss K. And then I bought his How to Draw Cars the Hot Wheels Way book, which shows you how to like render in Photoshop using color dodge and make chrome and candy paint and all that good stuff. It's kind of funny. I ended up working for Hot Wheels in maybe 8 years after that. So it takes time, but all these little things, they'll come around somehow, or at least that's what I think. You kind of just, it depends on your positioning, and you make little moves. I don't know, I like to think of it like chess. I like to play chess, and sometimes in chess you're making moves that are purely or not purely faith, but there's a faith element in it. Like, you don't know exactly what the plan will be because there's no way to see through that fog of the future. You can see maybe 1 or 2 or 3 moves ahead, but probably not 4 or 5 or 6 or more, because that's, you need a supercomputer to do that. So the next best thing is to just make moves that have a high chance of succeeding. So you're just slowly making moves toward that king, making moves towards that goal or that center, and just trying to make a situation happen, make like a stew of good elements that might connect and have some spark later on. You don't know for sure what that spark will be, or any of that, the details, the specifics, but you know the general makeup of your stew, like your ingredients. I am mixing up my analogies here, but yeah, chess, you just make moves towards your goal little by little, and eventually you'll get there. And you want to try to make moves that will create a higher likelihood of connections. This has nothing to do with this sleepy farmer dude on this spider. I'm sorry, but wow. I usually don't talk. I know I've said that like 3 times already, but I hope this isn't too rambly for you guys. This is actually helping me draw, though, because I kind of get distracted and go to like Facebook or whatever, but this is kind of keeping me on task. But yeah, I guess everyone has a art story, and nobody's path is going to be super clear or super perfect. It's always going to be some kind of a weird freak show, I hope. It's more fun anyway if you don't know what's going to happen. That's the best thing about drawing, is you start with nothing. You have no idea what's going to happen. And then something happens. But it's funny how scary starting a drawing is still. Even if you've done a million successful drawings that you like, starting a new one always sucks. It's always like, God damn it, I have to do this again from scratch, and it might turn out like crap. God. Ugh. Excuse me. Alright, let's pick this up in another video. So, okay, I'm tired, guys, so good night, and thanks for watching. I'll see you again later.